On the back nine of Torrey Pines South, golf architect Reese Jones decided to throw fans of the original layout a bone on the number 10 hole.
10 is one of the least changed holes on the course. The distance is relatively the same. It's still a relative birdie hole to a lot of the holes that have changed out here. The bunkers around 10 have been deepened considerably. In fact, there's some of the deeper bunkers on the course, but they're really not a horrible challenge to the professionals. And so it really is still one of the more approachable birdie holes on the course. 10 is really your only chance to catch your breath until 13, because you've got 9, which is now 600 yards. 10, you can catch your breath and make birdie. 11 is now like 230 par 3, you know, over the Barranca. 12 is this brutally long par 4. And then you get 13 that you can kind of reach into if you hit a good drive. So really, 10 and 13 are really, and then maybe 17 now, are really the only really good birdie holes coming in. I think you're fine on 10 if you hit a good drive. I mean, other than that, I mean, it is a tougher green to get into now than it used to be. So you got to hit the ball in the air to 10. You can't just run it up there.
We actually played the tees up a little bit today, but I think it was playing just over 220 yards. And that's a pretty long par 3 into the wind. I actually had a pretty good shot in there, and it carried a little bit further than I thought it would and ended up just over the green. And actually had a pretty good lie and an uphill stance, so it helped get the ball up in the air, and I was lucky enough to flop it up there on the green and have it end up just a foot or so away from the hole, so it was an easy par. There's no gimmies, but it was within my range. You know what, I'll take a 3 on that hole every day, regardless of where I hit it.
Unbelievable golf course now. The greens and the way they've made it longer, which is nice. I got about 5 or 6 more years and hopefully hitting it long enough to play it. But, you know, this course, if the wind blows, the south course, if the wind blows, that would be the only difference probably. I mean, there's literally some par 4s, but there's some of the guys that won't be able to get to them in 2 if the wind picks up. You know, number 4 is now 480, or I think 16 or 15 was 477 or something. I mean, that used to just be a driver L wedge.
I think it's a great course. They've improved it tremendously over what was here before. It's tough, it's long, but if you hit the ball straight off the tee, you're rewarded with a chance to, you know, go at the flags.
So is 13 one of those holes where you can go for it?
Absolutely. I was on there in 2 on 13, and there'd be a lot of players on it 2 there.
How far did you drive and what'd you hit on the second shot?
I don't know, maybe 290 off the tee, and I had a 3-wood in there. And I was in the rough too, so guys that hit the fairway will get more roll, and they'll be able to hit. There might be some irons in there if the wind picks up behind your back.
Anything tricky about that green?
Well, it's just like all the other greens. There's high spots and low spots, and you have to contend with a 2-level putt if you're more than about 20 feet from the hole, and that's what I had, and I left my putt short. So it's hard to get the speed on some of these new greens. The greens are in good shape, but we're not used to seeing them, so it might take a couple of times around it before we really get comfortable with the speeds.
Well, here's number 14 from the tips, from the black marker right here. You have the canyon all down the left side, nothing but junk left. And you really don't want to go right here because of the trees and the rough. And you hit a great drive here, you still got 190 yards to the hole. Or maybe even 200 if you miss a little bit. Maybe 175 if you hit a good drive. Some of the other touring pros that blasted downwind maybe might be a little closer, but this hole, you're going to have a good mid-long iron in your hand. Great golf hole. The green has been moved over really about 50, 60 yards from where it was. It was straight on from this tee, and now you can't even see the green right now. It's over behind those Torrey Pines to the left over there. I think they'll all come in short right in front here to be safe. If you miss your shot, you go one way or the other. As you can see, if you go right, you're in the bunker, and if you go left, you're in the canyon. They might favor a little short if they have an awkward lie from the fairway. If they hit a good drive, they might be able to go at the pin. And I still think if the pin's up front or something, this might still be a birdie hole for some of the longer hitters, but if they don't hit a good drive, I don't think they're going to be chasing this pin at all.
14 and 15 are probably the two biggest changes. They're both a lot longer and play a lot more difficult. 15, normally I did a 3-wood and a wedge on 15, and this year I hit a driver and had 200 yards left. So it went from being a birdie hole to being a hole that you hope you can get around the green and somehow maybe make get a look at birdie and make par. I think the golf course is, it always was good, but I think that they've made it really good. It's really difficult, and the whole setup nice. It's visually, it's very good. The greens are excellent, and you know, I don't have any complaints.
11 and 16 now become very difficult par threes. They were difficult in the past because they were 4-irons, but by now adding 20 yards to it, it makes it a 2-iron to a green that's smaller and more penalizing with the deep bunkers. I would say that the 2 par threes on the back side have always been long and have always been difficult, but by moving the tee box back another 20 yards, takes it from a 4-iron down to a 2-iron, and making the bunkers more severe lessens the margin of error, and it makes it 2 very difficult pars. Now, the 17th hole has always been a pretty difficult hole. It's been a hole that with the bunker on the right, you try to hit maybe a 2-iron off the tee, hit 6-iron in, or maybe you could try to thread the needle, hit driver, and have a short iron in. That hole used to be one of the more difficult holes out here. It was a hole you kind of take par and then try to make up the ground on 18. That's one of the birdie holes now. That's one of the easier holes that we have. It's a hole where, granted, the tee's back a little bit, but you can still hit 3-wood to the same spot and have the same iron in. So what's interesting to me is that the hole that used to be a good par is now a hole that I look to one of the few birdie opportunities. The difficulty now is that 2 things. One, the green is closer to the water's edge. But more importantly, the greens in the past were very spongy, and you could hit a 3-wood in there like a bullet and it would hit and stop. But now if you go at the green, you have to bring it in high and soft because it'll just kick to the back of the green, and now you've got a downhill lie to a green that goes away. It's a very difficult up and down. So I think that you'll have to hit a great shot to keep it on the surface. From the back tees, it's very long. It's 570. It's not the easiest to reach. I hit a really good drive in 3-wood and came up short. So I'll need to really hit one hard off the tee to be able to get there.